All right, so another common use of media queries is to create an aside. So this is going to be like a call to action, call now, special sale today, you know, those kinds of things. So I'm going to create an aside I'm going to utilize positioning to move it around. So let me show you rather than just tell you. So right now I have a section, and the section has an H2. There's my H2. And it currently has an aside, which is that call to action, right? I did a inline style. I made the color red, and it says free, call now, do a thing, yay, right away, right? Don't miss out on your pet rocks. But you'll notice that it's not showing right now because I, again, have it as a display none. And then there's just a paragraph that's telling you why you would want to purchase the new item for the holidays. The new pet rock's going to be a huge sensation. All right, fantastic. Okay, so let's look at some options here. So I'm going to copy in some code, and I'm going to create a new media query. So remember, my base style is here, and then what I'm going to do when we get to 576 pixels or greater, let's go ahead and just do it so you can see it, is I've created this, you know, kind of in a template, or think of it as being as a like a tablet. And so in this view, we're going to have the aside. We're going to show it with display block. You can currently certainly see that. So it goes from being hidden to now we can see it. But I have it span across the page here. And it's got its own color and some padding, some text align, a little border radius to make it look a little more professional, and then a box shadow, so it's got a shadow around it, etc., etc. So that's well and good. But let's add one more. Let's take this to another level, and we're going to go a little bit bigger. And this time I'm going to do a media query. Remember, we're always going higher, ascending higher and higher. Oops, media query. And this time we're going to say min width, and I'm going to do 968 pixels, I think is the next normal standard breakpoint. 992. Okay, where are you getting those numbers? Well, these are just kind of numbers that are industry standard as far as what the normal breakpoints would be. So it seems kind of random when I say it. It's not, and I have a guideline for you in your book, in your Canvas. All right, so let's look at this. What I'm going to do next then is let's look at, we have our section, right? And in our section we have our aside. So we're going to start with that. I'm going to do a positioning with my aside. So instead of having it show up here, let's just see what happens. I'm going to give it a position absolute, so I'm moving it with positioning. And, oh, we got to get to bigger. I'm like, why didn't it change? Oh yeah, I didn't open up the viewport. Okay, so let's get the viewport wider so we can see that change. And now we can see that it is in the top of the screen, 10 pixels. You can't really see it. There we go. It's 10 pixels from the right, and the width is 200. And that might not be bad. You know, there we go from there, and then here. So a call to action that's going to show up kind of on the side away from our main content when we get to our larger viewport sizes. So that's an example of how we can use positioning in our, I'm going to take this another step further just for a discussion of positioning. All right, so I'm going to also add, a section, choice for section, and I'm going to give this a position relative, and I'm going to give it padding right. This is just a kind of little extra, 200 pixels. Okay, so what is that buying us? Let's see. So when I get larger, what I'm actually doing here is, and it's kind of hard to see the difference, but I started on this trail, so I have to finish it. So what I'm doing now, instead of positioning it to the top of the screen, I'll give you I'm going to give you words in a minute. Here we go. So instead of positioning it to the top of the screen, remember that with positioning, the parent is section, and as soon as you give section something besides static, which is the default, remember the default is always static. So if I give this position static or nothing at all, then our little aside is going to be relative to positioned from the top of the page. But as soon as I give this something else, in other words, I'm going to give it a position of relative, Now our little aside is going to be basing itself off of this section instead of off of the top of the screen. So I know that's kind of hard to see, but let's see if we can give it a little bit more extreme. Let's do 100 pixels. And let's also do our section. Maybe this will help. Section background color is, I'll give it something simple. All right, let's see if we can see why that's working. Okay, great. All right, so now we can see that our section is blue, right? And if we do our position absolute top 100, it's positioning itself 100 pixels from the top of our section. If the section is not given anything, I'm even just going to comment it out, the default is static, and now it's going to position itself 100 pixels from the top of the screen rather than from the top of our aside. And that's kind of a side note from, kind of went off topic here from our media query, but at the same time I started it, so I had to finish the conversation. So I'm going to make this back to position relative. I think I'm just going to do 10 pixels from the top. And the overall idea was the fact that we wanted to have this little call to action only appear when we were in a larger viewport. And as the viewport changes in size, that looks a little bit different as well. So now it should disappear, and then we had it getting bigger and bigger. So just another example of some things that you can do that have significant change in your media queries.